Transitions. Transitions are a post-production technique used in video editing to connect one shot or scene to another. Often when a filmmaker wants to join two shots together, they use a basic cut where the first image is instantly replaced by the next. But what if the filmmaker wants to convey a particular mood, energy, or keep,
Tom! Focus.
Yes! All while spicing up the narrative and just being creative. Today we're going to be showing you how to make creative and seamless transitions. Let's get started. Before we break down that opening video, if you enjoyed it, be sure to let us know by liking this video and subscribing to our channel. We promise to make more. The techniques shown today can be done using any film gear, DSLRs, iPhones, whatever you have access to, you can follow along and edit in HitFilm Express. So try it today. After all, it's free. All good transitions can be broken down into three categories: graphical, directional, and audible. Graphical transitions are connections between matching imagery. Directional follows the motion of either camera work or performances, and audible uses dialogue and sound effect cues to blend the separate scenes together. While we're going through each method of this tutorial, consider which one they factor into, then rewatch the opening sketch to see how many we used, where we used them, and why. Let us know in the comment section how many you think we've blended. Let's start off with one of the simplest transitions. The match transition is a great way to show the passage of time and relies on your camera remaining in the same position and jumping to the next shot, usually at a different time of day. Have your camera set up and capture your first shot. Then either alter your lighting for the next take, or just leave it and let the natural light change. And don't touch it, unless you place down some markers, of course. Now that the time has passed or lighting has changed, capture your second plate. In the HitFilm timeline, just align the 2 points, and if you'd like a little bit of motion, bring the two clips into a composite shot, create a point layer, parent your clips to this point layer, and then add a small scale or position animation. Whippan. Whippan. A whippan transition is when the camera quickly pans, creating a blur effect between scenes. Have your camera set to one angle and position with your shutter speed to allow motion blur. After your action, whip it in a direction. In your second shot, start the action with the same motion. Sorry, I was expecting action.
Sorry.
If your shot needs some blending, open up HitFilm, overlap the footage where the motion blur is strongest, and keyframe the opacity of each layer. This type of transition is often used for comedic effect or to convey a fast-paced action. Just a personal note that I love them. They're not always a transition from one scene to another, it can also be used to just change different angles on one shot. To another. Often when a filmmaker wants to use Similar to a whippan, wipe reveals use a subject or object to block the camera and act as cover for the second shot. Have your camera moving from one direction and have it pass something in the foreground. Then in your second shot, start by repeating the motion and coming out from the other side. It usually helps to have this object have similar properties in appearance and large enough to cover the frame. Though if you can't find something that works, you can mask out your subject to reveal the second plate. You can usually see this done with crowd scenes.
Tom! Oh, step out again.
Audio. So far we've been relying on visual cues. Let's see how we can handle audio. For one of our examples, we had Javert beginning off-screen, we then follow him to allow our cuts to be hidden. It's the combination of eyeline and flow of line delivery that allows this transition to be seamless, despite the fact that we are now in a new location and the lighting is completely different. You don't have to just use dialogue though. A similar effect can be pulled off with a clap or a click of your fingers, or day-to-day sounds.
Meets the human brain.
Just make sure that your audio channel is on a separate layer and allowed to run through. Maybe I lied when I said that match cuts were the easiest one. We've looked at covered transitions already with whip and wipe reveals, but this is simply covering the lens in one location, then uncovering in another. This doesn't have to just be your hand though. You can do it with an object, surfaces, and people again. Finally, the best way to pull off any transition is to plan them in advance. If you're on a shoot, consider your location, the camera movements you're after, the actions, and the following scene. How is it all meant to affect your story? For our opening video, we even did a rough cut to make sure it all blended as smoothly as possible. Things like that really help highlight any issues early. Transitions are a really fun way to keep the energy and flow of your scenes constantly moving, so be sure to get creative and use some of these in your next HitFilm project. For more videos like the one that you've just watched, be sure to check out our suggested content and also subscribe to our channel. We do these every Thursday, so be sure to subscribe and we'll see you next time.